Hello, welcome back to Kinsei-Do Corner. It's been a good month already since the last episode, and I thought let's get another one in before the summer break. Super excited to have returning guest, I believe for the third time, Mr. Adrin.
Thank you.
Last we spoke, hi Adrin. Last we
Hi,
spoke
Johannes.
was almost about 1.5 years ago, and we talked about his experience in the Singapore Army. How that kind of changed from being a university student to being in the army, and today we're kind of gonna follow up from that because army has passed, and Adrian is now a successful entrepreneur.
Oh, wow. Successful is one word to use.
Well, an entrepreneur for sure, and
Yes.
we'll talk about that lifestyle and how that differs from what he was previously used to as a student with probably time but no money, then a soldier with neither.
Yeah.
And now let's see how that has panned out and how that is shaping up for. So yeah, I'm excited to have Adrian back. Good to catch up again, and let's dive right in. How have you been, man?
I've been good. It has been far too long since we last did this.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you been? How's life?
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, obviously, summer break is around the corner. It's always good to go home. I am going to go home. Going to go
Nice.
to Germany for a bit. Seems like a really hot summer over there at the minute, so should be quite nice. But all right, let's dive into what you've been up to specifically. When exactly did you leave the army? Maybe give people a recap, kind of like when did you leave the army? What have you been up to since then?
I think it's been 4 years now, actually. So 2022 is when I finished. I joined in 20, and 2 years after I finished, and afterwards I had a bit of like a brief period of time where I really didn't do much because I had to wait for uni. And so that's when in 2023 I entered uni, and I was in university. I'm still in university. I'm actually entering my final year this August. So it's been a while for sure. Ironically, actually, I just came back from the army again, from reservist. So it's a it's a bit of a cycle actually. For about 2 years. For about 2 years after I finished the military service, I wasn't called back. But for context, for people who aren't really familiar with the Singaporean system, is we have this concept called a reservist, where once you're done with your army life, you're an NSF is what they call it. Then you enter your phase as an NS man. So what that means is you're essentially expected to come back once every year to hone in your skills and your trainings and whatnot. And so my cycle started last year. So around this time last year, I was asked to come back, but it was a very short 3 days. This year, I went in for a 5 days. So like it was basically a week, Monday to Friday. It was a bit of a lengthier week. So that's what I did. I just came back on Friday, so today's Sunday. Monday. So it was just like a few days back. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned this because a few things have changed since then. One is, I'm a student, but I'm also an entrepreneur, as you have mentioned, and I'll dive a bit into that later, I suppose. But it's really interesting to go back into the army with the kind of how should I put this? With the kind of knowledge that I've gained and experience that I've gained from just doing the army, as opposed to now, juggling a lot of other stuff as now being, a single adult while studying and also supposedly working. It brings forth a very interesting dynamic, which I think is something that I've been given to work with.
Oh, that's really interesting. And I had that mixed up. I thought you had finished your uni before going into the army, but obviously, now that I think about it, that doesn't make sense at all. That's not how Singapore operates.
Yeah, they usually don't let you do your university until you finish your national obligation, which was my case. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Coincidentally, I had recently met up with some former, some friends that I knew back when I was living in Singapore, so many years ago,
Yeah,
and they're Singaporeans, and coincidentally, they told me the reservist period is like the best time in the year. It's like when you get to leave your job, you don't have to take leave, but it is
yeah,
essentially like taking a vacation. I'm not sure
true.
if that's true. I'm not
Well,
sure if
it
and I
depends.
don't think.
It's an interesting perspective because to many, it's like you're essentially stepping out of your normal day to day life, and like you mentioned, since it is a mandatory, thing, a lot of companies they can't refuse. They can't say, or you're supposedly you can't really give a reasonable excuse to not attend. Because mostly everyone's going to go for it. And the thing is, they pay you for it. So the army will, the SAF will pay you your 1 month salary if you're working. They will pay you that for your time. For me, it was funny because I just received my money just like a few hours ago, and I was looking at it, I was like, it's a bit lower than I expected. And I realized it's because okay, I'm not considered a working employee because I'm an entrepreneur. And that's an interesting perspective that I think that we could talk about soon because that is something that truly needs to be considered. So there's a system called the make-up pay where you're paid a base salary for being an honest man. So they'll pay you. I'm not really too sure what the actual number is. It's somewhere in the thousands, I think. Just the 1,000 something for a month. But they would pay you, let's say if that's for a month, right? So they'll pay you like around $200-$300 for those 5 days. But in retrospect, like that's not a lot of money with the amount of days you're spending. But the reason why people enjoy it so much is not just for the money that they get paid, but it's also that it's actually a very, very relaxed version of your 2 years that you spend in NS. So those 2 years were like the tough moments, the one you get with, they really put some pressure on you. But then you go back and it's actually very, very different because they treat you differently considering that you've been trained. So then at that point, like you're given a lot of slack, you're given a lot of freedom and leniency. So it's actually very fun because you meet the same people that you spent and you served with. And the thing about being in confined places and in certain situations is, I'm pretty sure you would have talked about this with many other people, is that you create a sort of bond which is very unique to those experiences. And so when you get back with those same people, and it's those same people that would come in from year after year after year, it's very fun, and it can get very very entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally imagine that because, and I've not had this experience, not having done NS, and it's essentially it's like going for a high school reunion of some sort, right? Because you're roughly
Yeah,
that age, right?
yeah,
So these are friends that you've made when you were 18, 19, whatever, which to this day for me, most of my best friends are from that time that I met at around that time. So I can imagine just getting paid to go back and meet them. That, yeah, of course, that must be the
yes.
most amazing time of the year for many people.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it is something that I we talk about because we're like, guys, we're not the kids that we were. We're not the same 18, 19-year-olds we were when we walked in. Now things are different. We have families. Some people are married. They have children. So when you get back into a scenario like this where you're meeting people who you used to see as jokers, and you used to see you're like, oh, we were just walking and trolling around, but now they're leading independent lives, and it's very nice to see that growth. And even though you only meet them like once a year, sometimes you barely keep contact with. I mean, for instance, for my platoon at least, I'm very close with a handful of people, which I'm always in contact with throughout the year. But there are other people who I'm just as close to, but I only see them in that one part of the year. But then again, when that part of the year happens, it's like nothing ever changed. It's like we're like immediately resuming our lives, and everything goes forward. We train together. We run together. We exercise together. It's like it just all happens at once, and it's a very insightful moment, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, again, this, yeah, hearing it from that perspective, it really gives a different flavor for me, and this is interesting. But you already talked a little bit about training, so I think this is a great point to swerve over to that. Obviously, my podcast being mostly about health and fitness and training and these kind of things. So how has life outside of the army, where I suppose you were obligated to stay fit, although I do remember we talked a little bit about how that's also different after you've done your basic military training, then kind of the fitness component lets off a bit as well. But I suppose in general you still are expected to maintain a certain level of fitness as an active duty soldier, whereas now, I mean, what's that like? How's your
absolutely
health and fitness
right
routine
and
looking?
I for one, for the past few months at least, I actually neglected my fitness quite a bit, and this became an issue because, when I, going into Reservist the first day, I was trying to put my pants on and it felt a bit too tight, a bit tighter than I remembered.
They make you wear the same uniform every year?
Same uniform. So the thing is, I mean, obviously you can get a size that fits you, and mind you, I know people who have changed in sizes, and I mean this in a very drastic way. I know a guy who used to be very thin, but now, having had a family and been a father, he has grown 3 times in size. No insult to him, of course, but it's the fact that actually happens. And having seen that, I never thought that I would, naturally get a bit heavier. But I did. But I mean, it could be many factors. It could be, my body's just getting wider as we're all getting older. But it could also just be that I'm getting fat. So it's those small reminders that we get where I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to get back into shape. Because like you mentioned, there is an expectation of maintaining your fitness, and that is the IPPT, which I'm not sure if I think I may have mentioned it in the previous podcast. But that's essentially the individual physical proficiency test, where every Singaporean man has to take this test, which is basically consisting of 3 simple parts, which is your push-ups, sit-ups, and a run. You have to do basically as many push-ups and sit-ups as you can in 60 seconds. So I mean, the highest you can get is 60 for 60, but you could go higher if you wanted to. You would do 60 push-ups, or you would do push-ups in 1 minute, sit-ups in 1 minute. They take whatever number that is, and they have like an entire score table for that, and then a 2.4 kilometer run. Obviously, the idea would be to run as fast as you could. And based off of this, they have a score. There's this pass. There's passing with incentive, silver, gold. There's these 4 criterias. And the funny thing is, they actually pay you for this as well. So if you pass with incentive, you get, I think, $200. Then you pass with silver, you get $300. And so these are also other elements that the government are like, urging people to, stay fit, because there's a reason for you to do that. You get paid by the government, and it's a mandatory requirement per year for you to take the IPPT. So that is another extra level of incentive that they're adding on top of it. And during these reservists, what they do is they also give everyone an opportunity to take the IPPT so that they can clear it for their year. And of course, also give them the opportunity to get some sort of physical training done. So that expectation for me was a bit tough this year, because I had just started my new cycle, because the cycle starts on your birthday, and mine was in June. So I had just finished my previous year cycle, so I have another year, essentially till the next June, for me to complete my cycle. I technically should do it whenever I can, but at the moment I'm not feeling as ready as I am. But what I have done is, after I realized my pants don't fit on me anymore, I took my health really seriously, and so I started cutting down on all these sugar, mainly a lot of the sugars that you eat. Started getting a bit more of a diet in, having a more protein heavy with some sort of carb reduction, and started doing a lot of exercising and running as well, which used to be my regime back when I was in my peak physique. But But now it seems like actually you realize you feel better if you actually take care of your health. You just tend to feel better. Now I'm waking up on time and not waking late. And I'm not feeling very tired or lethargic. During this time, like the time where we're actually talking right now, I would typically be asleep. But I'm not. So I'm more active. I get more stuff done throughout the day. Yeah, things change, and this is just a small change that I've noticed in just 1 week. And I mean, that's all it takes, right? It just takes like a week or two for your body's system to completely flush out. So I've basically gone through a pretty decently big change of my lifestyle in the past week. But my main issue is just belly fat, honestly. Apart from belly fat, I'm physically decently well built. I have nice shoulders and biceps and triceps are somewhat there. It's just that I have a lot of belly fat and your love handles is what they call it, right? Yeah, which I guess it comes to for most men at a certain age.
Yeah. So how did your IPPT go for you compared to maybe what you used to be able to do or what you had expected you might be able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fail, so I passed, which is best. It's actually not that hard to pass now, but the requirements have changed. So the older you get, the expectation is less, right? So the older you get, you are expected to do less push-ups and less. But I mean, I'm not that old. I'm still very young. So my requirements have gone down a bit, but it's still decently enough for me to pass. I passed. Well, not enough to get incentive. So there's pass and there's passing with incentive. So passing with incentive is what pays you the money. So this was me last year. I haven't done the IPPT yet, but based off of what I've tested myself in, I would get pass with incentive now. But I think I can push for a silver, which pushing means I can get more money. Or if it's not the money that I need, then it's just some sort of self-gratification that I can get on being able to actually achieve that. And typically it's just the running, which is usually the thing that gets people it tricked up, because running is harder to train over a shorter period of time. I'm doing push-up. I'm doing like 60 push-ups every day. And that will gradually train me for, let's say, in a week I could probably do 30 to 40 like easily, well, without struggle. But then running is not the same, right? So cardio is like a longer period of training. So that's why I'm giving myself another 2 or 3 months. Probably by the end of this year, I would attempt the IPPT again, and maybe then we could have another talk to see what has happened on that front.
Yeah, let's do that. So you don't have to do it as part of the Reservist. You can do it anytime.
Yeah, so it's not a part of the Reservist. It's just that in the Reservist, they give you an opportunity to do it because you're already in camp, so you can do that. So apart from that, you can go anytime, any day, whenever they have slots. You can book it online, and it would result in you having to go to camp just for the IPPT, of course. But you can attend any camp.
No, but I can see how. I mean, obviously, money is always money is always an incentive for some people more than for others, for sure. But it as you say, it's really nice to have a goal, right? So okay, in the next 3 months I need to be able to run the 2.4 in, I don't know, what is it, 10 minutes or no idea, whatever the silver or pass with incentive kind of threshold is, and then I need to do this many push-ups, this many sit-ups, and it's such a good thing to just help you, to motivate you to, okay, I need to do my training at least 3 times a week. I need to do a couple of push-ups, a couple of sit-ups, run for a bit. Do you think that's one of your driving or your motivating circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, that is the idea, right? You can push yourself to achieve more and more. There's 2 ways to think about it, because one is, let's say if you need the money. In my case, I low-key do. So I'm like, you know what? If I can make an extra 100 or 200 and all I have to do is run a bit faster, it it seems like that's something that's relatively easy to achieve without having to spend money. Do you understand what I mean? Like I wouldn't have to spend money to train myself, because all I have to do is just run, right? And all I have to do is just do push-ups. Sometimes it's very simple. I don't have to go to a gym and do weights training for this. It's not necessary. I could just do calisthenics, right?
That's probably also how it's set up, right? It has to be accessible to the masses, and you will definitely have people who can't afford a gym or can't manage to make the time and so on. So these 3 tests are certainly very, very accessible and easy to train for. Not easy to do, but easy to train for. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's shift a little bit and talk about your current setup, your entrepreneur endeavors, as well as how that now structures your day and how you go about training for this IPPT as well as for general health within these constraints.
I think the main thing that we have an issue with in general is once you start to not have things to do, you start to get more lethargic and you start to neglect your health. For me, at least, it was the opposite in a way, because I had a lot to do. So for me, I had what is commonly known as an imbalance of time management, because what happened was, since I started getting into this entrepreneurship stuff, it started to get me spend a lot of time throughout the day, because I have to juggle my schoolwork, but I also have to juggle this business that we're running. So now it's both, but there's only so much time in the day. So I have to do both in one day, and then you realize that you actually don't have much time to set for yourself, like for you're taking care of yourself, which I thought was a bit of an issue, because like you have to think about it, right, in a way that it's like, what's the priority? Some people, what they do is it's about discipline. They're like, oh, I must be disciplined enough to take care of myself while building this business, while studying. But for me, I was like, actually, I'm pretty healthy. I'm okay. Maybe I'll just, it's okay to sleep at 2 a.m. for one night or for a while, just so that I can get this work done. So there was a lot of these sacrifices coming in and out, which now, looking back, having been an entrepreneur for more than a year and a half, I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't the right decision to make, because I have neglected my health on the trade-off that I get a bit more work done. But in reality, I could have gotten some work done elsewhere. I could have fit it at some other point in time. And so now what I've started to do is actually incorporate this working out, this taking care of my health as a part of my daily routine, so that it actually doesn't make a huge impact on my day-to-day life and my work especially. So if I'm in university, there's a gym there in my area. So I'd make it a thing that, okay, after all my classes are done, 5 p.m. on the dot, I'll get there, I'll spend an hour, get whatever work I can get done, then go back and see what I can do for work. But if I'm at home, then I'm like, okay, so let's say if I'm doing some work or if I'm taking a break, sometimes you want to get up and stand up and just walk around. That time I would do some push-ups. I would, do some sit-ups, keep myself active. I also like to, put myself in a position where if my brain isn't working, if I can't solve a problem, then that's when I doing some push-ups, getting some, blood flowing into my brains, in a way that it kind of keeps me distracted. Distracted enough that putting too much focus on something, isn't always that good as well, because you need to keep your mind active, keep your brain active. So that's what I was trying, and that's what I've been implementing for a while now. That's why my issue has never been doing push-ups or sit-ups for IPPT, because I can very easily do that now. I've been doing this for months now, actually. You will just if you're like here, if you see me, if you were to, let's say if you're watching my life as an omniscient being, you would just see me doing push-ups randomly at random points, which might seem a bit funny, but it's actually a very effective method. And I've recorded this. Like I've taken note. I've measured this. Me last year was not able to do 10 push-ups at all, but being able to do push-ups every day gradually, even a little bit, like just 20 push-ups, it still matters, because that number, you're actually keeping yourself very active, and it's subconsciously telling your brain that, whenever I can't do something, or whenever I'm like, panicking or whatever, instead of just panicking or whatever, do a push-up. So it's like I'm redirecting the notion of disaction into something like push-ups and sit-ups. And so for me, the main issue is running, because running takes a bit more time, and there's also other elements like, how's the weather outside? Is it hot? Is it raining? Is it dark? So I mean, again, these are all excuses that I could think of, but at the same time, in reality, actually do matter, because I'm like, okay, do I have enough time? Can I go run? I don't have a treadmill at home, so that's another factor. But running is something that I'm working on. So my plan is, for a week, I'd have to run at least twice a week, which is the kind of thing that we do in the army during the beginning of the basic military training. The way they trained us is 2 runs per week and 4 physical trainings per week. And so
that's
that
less
was
than I expected.
Yeah, but each one of those sessions are very effective, because they really drill you. You know what I mean? So like it's very each one of those sessions are very vigorous trainings, but at the end of it, you'd feel decently well, and you'd be like, okay, I've done it. And so I'm implementing something similar to that.
Yeah. No, I like kind of what you've touched on, which is essentially almost 2 completely different systems that also people can and should use to get more physical activity in their life. The first one being 5 o'clock sharp on the days that you are near the gym, you will get it done, right? So forget what other things are pressing or urgent. They'll still be urgent at 6. So 5 o'clock, that's gym time. And the other one is, just kind of these micro workouts throughout the day. Such a good system. Even people who work from home or work in an office and never make it to the gym could be doing something significant for their health if they did 10 of these micro workouts every day, right? And it is micro, right? It's a minute, it's 2 minutes. So in total, over your day, it's 20 minutes that instead of going down to the coffee machine, you did a few push-ups instead. That's a very valid way of getting movement and exercise into your day. So love that you've figured out those 2 systems for yourself and are doing them. And I hope to see when we talk about your IPPT how that worked out.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out what happens then. Hopefully, I'm quite confident, because if I put my mind to something, I figure it out one way or another. I tend to get lost in the middle, but regardless, I'll come back and I'll end up achieving it. So I'm excited to see what happens on the IPPT front. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, for closing and to start wrapping this up, I want to kind of zoom out a little bit and think. So now, obviously, we've been talking about the things that you are doing or that you can do for this relatively short-term goal in mind. But you are now at the end of your university time, the start of your career, thinking ahead. How, like, if you even do, because I know many young people don't, but if you're thinking ahead to your 30s, 40s, and beyond, do you have any like thoughts and systems in your head or even established already of how you will make sure that that health and that fitness kind of stays not necessarily at the forefront of your mind all the time, but at least stays as a running operating system that you will, that you hopefully will never become the guy that is 3 times the size when he goes back to Reservist.
It's a very good point that you brought up, and actually I have thought about it, and I'll give you a really quick explanation as to what my plan is on that. My plan is because I'm in an age where we're starting to enter into proper relationships that will you end up finding your partner for the rest of your life. So my idea and thought process and ideology on this is find yourself who can give you the amount of motivation you need to keep each other healthy in that sense. So you'll see a lot of people online, and I mean people that you know maybe, who are like couples who go to gym together, couples who are keeping each other fit. That is something that I'm really, really strongly pursuant about, and because you need to find a motivation, right? At the end of the day, you have to be healthy for yourself, yes, but if you have someone else to be healthy for, then that's only an added incentive. And so that is my plan. My plan is to essentially make sure I find someone who I can work out with. And even at home, because as they say, everything starts at home, right? Be it raising children or work, everything starts at home, the way you are. So if we can stay fit together, then I think that is the ideal solution for especially people like me and my generation nowadays. We're more action oriented.
Oh, that's perfect. And I mean, that's I've never heard anyone actively or let's say cognitively talk about approaching relationships like that, but it obviously makes 100% sense, right? And everything that we know about what what makes good habits, it's such a huge part of it is the environment that you're in, right? And obviously the main relationship in your life is 50% or more of that. I mean, you can always probably go out and do exercise for yourself, even if your partner is not into that. But it's just harder, or rather, it's just so much easier if this is a shared passion, a shared vision.
Yeah.
And so for you to be actively pursuing it from that angle is just brilliant. Such a good strategy.
No, I mean it's more than a strat. I would say it's a way of life, because you get something out of a relationship. I can say that for a fact, but it should not be treated as a transaction, but rather a journey together. So there will be times where you're unhealthy together, but think about the healthy moments, right? You bounce back, and it's a really interesting fact, because there's this thing in the Army called the buddy system, and I mean we use it everywhere else, right? So when that happens and you think about it, you're like, actually, a lot of times you tend to get stuff done when you have an exterior motivation or an exterior incentive to do so, and that in this case would be a buddy. And so that is exactly what I'm trying to implement, but on a life-proof scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant, and obviously, I can tell you, and as you will see as you get through life, it is also so much easier to raise active children if you are active.
Yeah.
Because it is so difficult. I mean, kids do what you do, not what you say. So if you tell them to be active, but you yourself are on the couch, then you will have fat kids. Let's just put it that way. So, no, this is brilliant, and I love that you are approaching life from that view. So hopefully I'll have you back on in 5 to 10 years, and we can see how that's been going.
Maybe my significant other can join and explain how it is being fit with me.
Perfect. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, Adrin, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Always a pleasure,
always
Johannes.
great to chat. And let's also get Mr. Christian back on the next time we talk.
We do.
Because I have a bone to pick with him about this topic.
All right.
If you're listening, Chris, you know it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Adrin. That was brilliant. Have a great rest of the day, and
thank you.
It's
Appreciate
still
it.
early for Entrepreneur Hour, so
of course.
Hope we get more work done.
We'll do absolutely. Always a pleasure, Johannes. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thanks, man.